Common man, charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot?
Where'd we play?
Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
You know, sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. You know, when you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs.
Hey, what up, Tennessee?
San Diego, Chargers, San Diego, Chargers, San Diego, Chargers, San Diego, Chargers. Now what do you think? What do you think of that? Now what do you think? What do you think of that? Now what do you think? What do you think of that? Who's that? Can be tempted. We that can be tempted. Just that right. You always love that one.
You're breaking up, Bob.
You're breaking up.
Cam Dantzler, what are you doing? Border battle!
Time now for...
We'll keep playing until someone puts the puck in the net. Lamb on the right side. In the corner, Oleksic. Schmidt now for Oleksic in behind. He centers. Yes! Kyle Schmidt! Cubs have won the championship! UMD has won the championship! Kyle Schmidt with the game winner! Yeah, baby! What do you think of my game? He has no chance!
I think we have a very good mix right now. I mean, the morning show does well, comparatively speaking, especially given what it has to go against. Dubers and I have done well, knock on wood, for 4 years. Common and Hartman have done okay, and Barrero is, in my estimation, the primetime player on our station. And I'm cultivating a couple of kids in Sludge and Lake, and, you know, we have the Vikings and maybe some things down the road, so I think we're strong right now.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
I think I put a little effort into the show. Monday through Thursday, waiting to get a load of Friday. We call it, for the longest time, it was a FedEx Friday because we mailed it in. And then some of the UPS guys said, oh, wait about us. Why are you leaving out the UPS? So then we just decided to call it a mail it in Monday. And then I came up with the idea of why don't we call it a Fed Up Friday, which isn't quite the same as mailing it in, but it's the two joined together as if they had a merger. I don't think they ever will merge, but it's always possible. So it's a Fed Up Friday. The extent of my show prep today, Tennessee, was what songs will I use when we promote the Lakefront Music Fest ticket giveaway? Because that's really, for me, the most important thing. And it's the most difficult. Because we're giving away tickets to the Lakefront Music Fest. It's bigger and better.
Rock
Night, July 11th, headlined by Foreigner, with support from 38 Special and Loverboy. That's not the same kind of support you get from a rolled up pair of athletic socks underneath your scrotum, but it is support, nonetheless. And so then you know how those radio commercials do that all the time. They go, see Foreigner, and then they go right to the chorus. Feels like the first. And then we decide, well, why don't we have more fun with it? And let's see how bizarre we can get by mixing the wrong song with the wrong artist and how wacky it can get. No, look, I get it. It's a sophisticated kind of comedy that a lot of people can't sink their teeth into. I get that. But if you follow along, you'll eventually get it. And so that's what, of course, I forgot we were going to do this, so I haven't even given it any thought. But I got time because the show ain't over till 3, but won't do the giveaway for a while.
I also want you to bring back. I used to love when we do the preposterous statement tournament, and you brought to you by Viagra, and then you come up with different taglines from different companies.
How long is the next commercial break? Roughly
4.5 minutes.
Because I can run down to my cubicle, and in that drawer.
You have some?
Well, I think I saved them from the olden days. I've just got these files there with all
I love that bit.
Yeah, I forgot all about that, but you should have reminded me of that bit. See, that's what a full-time producer would do. That's why you're Bridge. You should have reminded me.
Well, I just did.
But we've only got 2 days left of PST.
I just thought you were bored with it or something.
No.
Because it's been a couple of years since you've done it.
Look, I have a really bad memory, really bad, and it's getting worse every day. And I used to think it was early onset Alzheimer's, but you know what I think it finally is? It might be old age, but I'm not olden yet. I mean, I'm getting olden, but I'm not olden. I think what it is my consumption of a whole multicolored galaxy of uppers and downers and screamers and laughers. That's what I think it is. I think that damaged my brain more than I thought. And, and again, I'm not proud of it. I'm just telling it like it is. And I think I don't know if that affects memory cells, but there are times here I can't remember people's names at the radio station. People I've worked with for years.
I've always been bad with names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how can you forget somebody that you've known? I mean, like, that would be like me forgetting that your name is Brendan. I mean, that would be, how could I forget that? Or that my good friend in the coroner's office, Derek Lonquist. How could I forget that name?
I always love that.
But I'll forget names of people that I've worked with. I go, well, for instance, what's the name of the guy that was born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried, on the third day rose again from the dead, and sitteth on the right hand of the God the Father Almighty, and shall come to judge the quick and the dead? I can't remember his...
Oh, Jesus.
Jesus, that's right. JC, as we like to call him. So anyway, what do you think I like better, Teneby? Do you think I like employing Grok AI or saying Grok AI?
You might enjoy employing, actually, because it gives you a segment to kill every once in a while.
You are correct, and I've got one for you here. So I decided to say, question to Grok AI. At Brandon Molesky seems to be the smartest on-air guy at KFAN. Here's what Grok AI said. Brandon Molesky's a sharp one, no doubt. He's carved out a solid rep at KFAN, especially as a producer and host who brings a lot to the table. His work on Vikings and Wild coverage shows he's got a knack for breaking things down with clarity and insight. Stuff that doesn't just sound like recycled hot takes. Do you think
Is that a shot at Rose?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Listeners seem to vibe with his style, too. He's got a way of mixing sports knowledge with a dry wit that keeps things engaging without feeling forced. Compared to the rest of the KFAN crew, he stands out for his versatility. Producing for Dan Barrero's show, so now he's got you confused with Justin Goddard.
Well, he's not the first.
Producing for Dan Barrero's show while also hosting his own hockey podcast and popping up elsewhere on the station. That kind of range suggests he's got a deeper grasp of the game than some of the more personality-driven hosts.
Wow.
Say, compared to Paul Allen, who's all energy and Vikings cheerleading, or Common Man, who leans hard into the everyman shtick. Molesky feels more like the guy who's done his homework. Doesn't mean he's the undisputed smartest. Barrero's got a cerebral edge when he's on his game. I like the way he uses the qualifier when he's on his game. In other words, he's not always on his game.
Inconsistent.
But when he is on his game, he's got a cerebral edge. But Molesky's definitely in the conversation. Then you know what Grok does now? They ask you questions. What makes you put him at the top? Meaning me. What makes me put him at the top? I don't know. I didn't really put him at the top. I just thought. I just wondered what Grok AI would say. So then I do a follow-up to Grok. What about Teneby's take on peeling bananas upside down? Grok. Oh, you're talking about Molesky's banana peeling revelation. That's a gem. He's out here dropping takes on peeling bananas from the bottom up, which honestly is low-key brilliant. It's one of those things you don't think about until someone points it out, but it works way better. Less mush, cleaner break, and you can use the stem as a handle. It's not just a quirky hot take, it's practical. And he probably delivered it with that deadpan style that makes it land even harder. That kind of offbeat insight does show he's got a sharp mind, noticing details that others gloss over. And you're right, 'cause I never thought about the right way to peel a banana. It never crossed my mind before until you brought it up. And I thought about you again today because I had oatmeal with a banana on it. And I look at the banana and I think to myself, I shake my head a couple times and smile and go, I would have been trying to rip this open from the top and would have got, as he explained, it would have been mushy and the break wouldn't have been as clean and I wouldn't have had a handle.
So basically, like, every time I see the color yellow, I now think of Caitlin Clark. Every time you see a banana, you think of me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Anytime I see the color yellow, because a banana's yellow, I think of you. That kind of offbeat insight does show he's got a sharp mind. The banana peeling says he's got a sharp mind and sets him apart from the KFAN pack. Most of those guys stick to sports or lean into their radio personas. Molesky's out there solving fruit logistics like a savant. Did that one stick with you because it was so out of left field, or do you appreciate a man who can rethink the mundane? So Grok was asking me again. I think they've explained you perfectly. I didn't realize. I didn't realize you were so understated.
Nor did I.
No, I don't think anybody did. But that's Grok. And as one text messenger pointed out, Tena needs to take this to the coroner's office. We're discussing his next race. If Grok was your boss...
Grok should be my agent.
If Grok was your agent or your boss, you would be making more money. We'll break. We'll come back. 534 is not going to happen today because Lil B, feminine touch of the program at 1. That goes to 1:30. We got two special guests today. This should be fun. Two of the wackier people that appear on the fan. Meat Sauce, Lucky. He'll be performing with me, by the way, tonight at Forgotten Scholar stand-up comedy. And then I was going to call him Jimmy Olsen. I forgot his name. Jimmy Olsen, of course, is from the Superman comics. He's the Cub reporter, Jimmy Olsen, that worked at the Daily Planet with Clark Kent and Lois Lane. See, I remember those names. It's Tommy Olsen who will be joining us as well. So that and so much more to get to here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Get ready to laugh out loud. Comedian Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias is coming to the Island Event Center September 6th and 7th. Don't miss out on a night of iconic jokes and nonstop laughter. Get your tickets today at TICasino.com.
What did I do with it? Yeah, I can't find the brought to you guys. I'll make them up as I go along. I'm a stand-up comedian, for crying out loud. That's what I do for a living. People have compared my comedic stylings to that of, that's another one. So, more Amsterdam guy. Ask Grok. Common Man compares himself to Dennis Miller, Jerry Stiller, and Phyllis Diller, right?
Yeah.
Grok then goes, well, the Dennis Miller is kind of a stretch, and then it goes into like this serious breakdown of my comedic stylings and compare myself to those when it's like, well, that goes to show you where there are shortcomings with Grok AI, because I really don't think my comedic stylings are of Dennis Miller, Jerry Stiller, and Phyllis Diller. I just like that they rhyme. And it is preposterous because those are three wildly successful comedians. I mean, I think Jerry Stiller's now passed away, I think. I know Phyllis Diller is gone to the great beyond, and Dennis Miller's still out there. I don't know if he's doing comedy. But so there's your proof that Grok AI isn't on everything. Plus, you know what else? So Maury does this gambling bit with his buddies where they'll pick like a couple of hockey players who's going to score more. And he asked Grok, who would be more, who should I bet on? Larkin? Who does he play for, Genevieve?
Detroit. Dylan Larkin?
Yeah, Dylan Larkin. And hold on, I don't remember the other player. Give me 1 second, because I don't follow hockey enough. But he told me who he thank you. Suzuki. They said take Suzuki. They had a big analysis for it. He decided to go against it. Suzuki scored 2 minutes into the game and then ended up scoring 2 goals. How did Grok AI know Suzuki was going to do Larkin? But then he asked, tonight's game, who should I take? Who's going to be better? How do you know about the Wild and the Colorado?
Yeah.
Then it brought up a player that doesn't play for Colorado anymore. Here's what Grok AI said.
Joe Sakic.
It said, you made a mistake. So then Morey responded to Grok AI, you made a mistake. Rantanen was traded to Carolina a few weeks ago. Didn't you know that? Grok AI says, I apologize for any confusion in my previous response. You're absolutely right. Mikko Rantanen was indeed traded to Carolina from the Colorado Avalanche on January 24th, 2025 as part of a 3-team deal that also involved the Chicago Blackhawks. My analysis was based on the current state of the NHL as of February 29, 25. In other words, he's making excuses for not knowing. So then he got pushed by Morey. That may be true, but why did you think Rantanen was still a member of the Avalanche? I owe you an apology for that slip-up. My reasoning got tangled because I was pulling from a mix of current data in historical context without properly syncing it to the trade timeline. As of February 28, 2025, I'm fully aware Mikko Rantanen was traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. I've got the details logged. Rantanen and a 5th-round pick went to Carolina, while Colorado got Martin Necas, Alex Necas, who's Alex Needlevidovic, and a 3rd round. But there it goes. So it's not flawless.
No.
And I thought it was. I was beginning to think that Grok AI could do no wrong. Well, it's obvious they
Even
can't.
Grok makes mistakes.
Even Grok makes mistakes once in a while. And when it even made a mistake on Meat Sauce's IQ, but that's for another time. Right now, we want to do a peek at the purple, which is brought to you by Affordable Electric. They're your old home specialists. They're very familiar with old wiring, like knob and tube, cloth-covered wiring, aluminum, and older fuse boxes. They understand their limitations and potential safety concerns. Let Affordable conduct a thorough inspection of your older home and find out if you have any issues. Affordable Electric, shockingly affordable. Let's do Whiff at the Wild. No, Whiff of the Wild and the Wolves tend to be real quick. First of all, the Wild 6-1 beatdown.
Speaking of whiff, they whiffed last night. 6-1
beatdown at the hands of the Utah Hockey Club. Can you explain?
Well, I was talking with Kevin Fallness on KFAN Wild Weekly before the game, talking about Utah has owned the Wild this year.
Really?
The first game the Wild did win in Utah, but it was I think an overtime game, and then the last 2 at XL Energy Center, Utah beat them, including a 4-0 shutout a little over a month ago. And Utah has just had their number, and they had it again last night. The Wild, offensively, they've got nothing right now. Without Eriksson Ek, without Kaprizov, even Hartman out of the lineup. Their second line right now is Marcus Foligno, Marcus Johansson, and Freddie Gaudreau. And I know Freddie Gaudreau had a highlight Sports Center top 10 type goal last night, but he's still Freddie Gaudreau.
Right.
And those are not guys that should be on your second line.
Okay.
So they have zero offense at the forward position after their top line, which just isn't going to work long term.
Not going to work.
So for them to win games, they have to be elite defensively, which they are capable of because their defensemen are good, though last night defensively, I don't know what was going on with some of those guys. I mean, guys that we're used to seeing, Jonas Brodin, just an awful turnover behind his own net that leads to a goal. Faber getting beat occasionally. Just not covering or not protecting around their own net. Just the Wild, they got that Gaudreau goal. They had been playing so bad. They were down 2-0. Gaudreau gets the highlight goal. All of a sudden, it's 2-1 in the second period. So you got yourself a chance, right? You're in the game.
Yep.
Within the next 2 minutes, the Wild were just completely lazy in their own defensive zone. No sense of urgency. No work ethic. And Utah scores 3-1, and it was just a simple goal.
A combination of missing some key players, not having any offensive firepower outside of the first line, and being lazy. It's a lot like thick sliced deli meat. It's not going to work, right? You could make the same comparison. Yeah. Thick sliced deli meat ain't going to work on your sandwich, and everything we just mentioned ain't going to work in the national.
Well, John Hines made a comment last night after game about they just got outworked, they got out-battled, outcompeted. The way the lineup is currently constructed, those are not the areas of the game you can afford to be losing in. Like, they can't get outworked. They have no margin of error. Like, they can't just bring a middle-of-the-road game and have a Kaprizov score a couple and save them.
Why, the Timberwolves, they didn't get off to a very good start either last night. They get beat by the LA Lakers. Did Power Trip Bet report on my win last night?
It tweeted that you won.
I did win $4 from Mark Rosen. He took the Wolves. I took the Lakers. I watched the first half. I actually did, and then I just couldn't bring myself to stay awake long enough to watch the second half. But the Wolves ended up losing that game. Ant got ejected. I'm beginning to believe Draymond Green now, with as many fines as Ant has collected, including he's going to get a whopper. Now he's got a one-game suspension.
Missed Utah game.
Because he has 16 technical fouls altogether. He's going to get a big... Was he already at like...
How do you get to 16 technical fouls?
Well, not having any control of your emotions, being wild and young and free, probably, because and he apologized to the team. I saw in the post-game quotes. Fish Wrap Factory West Side, I think. Chris Hine did the piece. And, it's like he apologized because you can't do that. He was kicked out of the game in the third quarter. If he's in there, do they win? I don't know. He's got a lot better chance, right?
Best player.
He's your best player in your team. He didn't do much early. There were... one of my basketball connections sources said fouls, Wolves 28, Lakers 19. Free throw attempts, Wolves 26, Lakers 46. He's part of the basketball community, so they always look at we got job by the officials. Though I will tell you, when the Wolves had the greatest comeback of all time against the Thunder, the Timberwolves had 30 foul shots, and the Wolves had... the Thunder, the Thunder had 23 of 29. The Wolves were 34 of 39, 10 more foul shots, right? Free throws. And again, that's different than 20. But again, it's like there was a frustration level with the Wolves. Doncic and LeBron are just really good at, it's an art. They're really good at drawing fouls. And the foul he got called on, and then he got the technical, got thrown out, that was a foul. He pushed his... If you watch the replay, he took a shoulder and he shoved it into the defending player and tried to make space. I don't think you can do that. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. I just don't think that's part of the game. But, and think about this. If we don't have that foul disparity in that Wolves-Thunder game, Rosen isn't claiming that the Wolves have nobody to be afraid of, and then they're going to get to the Western Conference Finals, all because of the foul disparity. So there you go. We'll break, come back. Our friends at Affordable Electric, affordable-electric.com, shockingly affordable, just brought you our Whiff of the Wolves and Whiff of the Wild. Short break. Back with more after this, including PST Triple B Double I. It's our results and pairings segment next on here on The Fan.
Inspiration grows here. The Minneapolis Home and Garden Show runs March 5th through the 9th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. 5 days only to shop, compare, and save with more than 500 home experts. Plan your visit and save $2 on tickets at homeandgardenshow.com.
Emailer says Ant got his second technical because he got fouled and tripped to the floor. There was no call, so he swore at the ref. He did swear at the ref. He did trip and fall to the floor, but he was not fouled. Don't do the homer bit. I know you think Ant can do no wrong, and anytime there's a foul, he
was embellishing that. He was trying to draw the foul.
Yeah, and he pushed. As he was going to the bucket, his lane was cut off. He was going to try to drive to the bucket. So he took his shoulder and his forearm and slammed into the defensive player. Just Come on. I mean, I know that's the issue with homers. People that they live, eat, sleep, drink, and breathe their hometown team, regardless of the sport. They always think our team never. It was the old bit I used to do when baby brother Peter would play. I'd go up to a referee after the game and I'd go, I just want us to know you called a foul on number 2. Yeah. I go, my boy's never committed a foul in his life. And then the guy would laugh and I'd laugh back and I'd give him a high five.
I always loved that one.
But that's what fans and parents think. My kid has never committed a foul, and anytime he misses a shot, it's because he was fouled. That was on air.
And the referees are biased if our team has 4 fouls and the other team has 1.
That's
because
correct.
obviously they got to call it both ways.
Yeah, it's just so preposterous. But anyways,
I forgot to play this.
And that's what we're ready to do. It's time for PST Triple V Double I. These are pairings or results in pairings intend to be, once we're done revealing the winners here, we're down to the...
This is the results of the Alto 8, which means we'll be down to the Foolish 4, which we'll then reveal. And over the weekend, we'll go from 4 to 2.
To the Delkay Duo, that's what we like to call it.
Are you ready for the results from the Alto 8?
I was born ready.
Let's begin with the
North Region, presented by Arthur's Jewelers.
The number 1 seed, Anthony Rendon, on playing in the major league, said, quote, I do not wish this life upon anybody. He went up against the number 2 seed, Myles Garrett. He defended his quarterback, Deshaun Watson, and criticized those who booed him after he was injured, saying this.
No, man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros.
Most of the pros. Well, anyway.
57 to 43%. I'm a little surprised with this one. Myles Garrett pulls off the win. Myles Garrett takes down Anthony. Anthony Rendon was just steamrolling everybody, so I thought he was going to continue. But Myles Garrett is on his way to the Foolish 4.
Beautiful.
West Region.
This is KFAN against KFAN right here. The number 4 seed, Paul Charchian.
You are wrong about the talent. You don't think he has talent? Saquon Barkley is cooked.
Oh, okay.
Let's put some numbers against it. I would much rather have the recently re-upped Ramondre Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have Jonathan Brooks. I'd rather have Zamir White. You know where those guys are going?
Like RB 15 to 20?
Pick 90.
Yeah.
I am so far off Saquon Barkley. To me, we have to get to round 8.
Wow.
He has an ADP of the middle of round 2. I would take Saquon Barkley in round 8.
Charge went up against the number 14 seed, Mark Rosen, on going to the Guthrie Orpheum courtside seats at Target Center and Williams Arena on 4 consecutive nights. He said, quote, it's available to everybody.
Well, this is the one I actually had trouble getting to sleep last night thinking about this matchup.
It was close.
It was?
52.1.
Wow.
To 47.9%. But there's a reason Paul Charchian's a champion and Mark Rosen has not won one. Paul Charchian advances. He takes down the legendary one, Mark Rosen.
And that's unfortunate because, I've got a soft spot in my heart for Rosie. I've worked with him closely for so many years now that I think that would mean a lot to him to get a preposterous statement tournament championship.
At this stage of his career?
It's the one thing he has.
You know how many opportunities he has left?
Yeah, that's it. And that's the one thing he doesn't have. He's in the PAVIC. He's won daytime Emmys. He's
in the PST Hall of Fame.
He's in the PST Hall of Fame. He's able to go to the Guthrie, courtside at the Wolves. Where else was it?
Williams Arena.
And there was one more. And he's able to do that 4 days in a row. I mean, so he's accomplished that. He's done so many
Guthrie Orpheum, courtside seats at Target Center and Williams Arena.
So when you're able to do that,
4 consecutive nights.
What's left other than a preposterous statement tournament championship? I feel bad for Rose.
Well, not even the it's available to everybody line.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking of price and cost, which that's not of it. Just that amount of time available is not available to everybody. I just don't have time to do that on 4 consecutive nights.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. There's no way most people do.
Congrats to Charge, though. He advances to the Foolish 4.
East Region.
The number 1 seed is Draymond Green. Here's what he said about the NBA's fines.
The fines, to me, don't make sense. When you talk about as hard as we work to accumulate wealth, coming from situations that most people never make it out, and then you get fined the way we get fined, it's actually not set up for us to be wealthy after we're done playing.
Yeah, and that's what Ant will attest to that. He's going to get another fine. He's not going to be wealthy, even though he's making $42 million a year.
Draymond went up against the number 3 seed Tom Fornelli, who posted a poll on Twitter that asked, as a college basketball fan, what would you prefer your team to do? A, win your conference, or B, win the NCAA tournament? I know you're not surprised. Not even close. Yeah. Draymond Green destroys Tom Fornelli 81 to 19%.
Yeah, well, it's just so preposterous. It's just because here's the other thing too: behave yourself on the court. Don't throw the ball into the crowd. Don't F-bomb the referees. And guess what? You won't get fined.
It's not that hard to avoid fines.
It's easy to avoid. There are players. There are players that played. I would bet there are hundreds of thousands of players that never got fined once in their NBA career and accumulated plenty.
You know, I've never been fined by the FCC.
Yeah,
I've never just sworn on air.
No,
put myself in a situation to get fined.
You just avoid it. Well said, Tennedy.
South Region.
You did it with that dry wood of yours, too.
Exactly. The number 12 seed, Alyssa Milano, posted a GoFundMe to her followers to raise $10,000 for her son's baseball team to go to Cooperstown. We'd like to note that her net worth is $10 million. She went up against the number 7 seed, Mike Tannenbaum. Here's what Mike had to say.
Outside of Patrick Mahomes, if we, the four of us, were running an NFL team today, there is nobody on the planet I'd rather have than Jordan Love, period, end of sentence. 25 years old, can make all the throws, 6'4", high character, high processor, can make people miss. The sky is the limit. If he was an IPO, it'd be like buying NVIDIA 3 years ago. He is by far, to me, a player that has the most sustained upside. Do I love Josh Allen? Of course I love Josh Allen. Josh Allen takes a lot of big hits. C.J. Stroud, love C.J. Stroud. Jordan Love's been in the league a little bit longer than C.J. Stroud. There are some other people in that conversation, but when you talk about sustained excellence, to me, it's Jordan Love and then everybody else.
Okay.
A number 12 seed is in the Foolish Four. Alyssa Milano advances 59 to 41%. She takes down Mike Tannenbaum.
Think about that. Oh, Tannenbaum. Oh, Tannenbaum.
So we're down to our Foolish Four. You'll be able to vote on these shortly at KFAN 1003. You'll have all weekend to do it on Twitter or X. Here they are.
North Region, presented by Arthur's Jewelers.
The number 2 seed is Myles Garrett. Here's how he defended Deshaun Watson.
No, man does pretty much everything right. He's been a model citizen through college and most of the pros.
Myles Garrett will go up against the number 4 seed from the
West Region.
That would be Paul Charchian.
You are wrong about the talent.
You don't think he has talent?
Saquon Barkley is cooked.
Oh, okay.
Let's put some numbers against it. I would much rather have the recently re-upped Ramondre Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have Jonathan Brooks. I'd rather have Zamir White. You know where those guys are going?
Like RB 15 to 20?
Pick 90.
Yeah.
I am so far off Saquon Barkley. To me, we have to get to round 8.
Wow.
He has an ADP of the middle of round 2. I would take Saquon Barkley in round 8.
So we got Paul Charchian versus Myles Garrett in the Foolish Four. The other side of the bracket will be from the
East Region.
The number 1 seed, Draymond Green, said this about NBA fines.
The fines, to me, don't make sense. You know, when you talk about as hard as we work to accumulate wealth, coming from situations that most people never make it out, and then you get fined the way we get fined, it's actually not set up for us to be wealthy after we're done playing.
Draymond will go up against the number 12 seed from the
South Region.
That would be Alyssa Milano, who posted a GoFundMe to her followers to raise $10,000 for her son's baseball team to go to Cooperstown, even though she has a net worth of $10 million.
Vote early, vote often. I like Draymond this one.
I think it's going to be Draymond and Charch.
I kind of think
That's what I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then who knows?
And then you never know after that.
It's hard to go against Draymond, though.
It is. If I'm not using X, can I mail my ballot in? We take mail-in ballots. Also, the other thing we do is we're going to have early voting next year, where you're going to be able to, vote early and submit your ballot, and then we'll count them when we get them. So we're going to do that even before we know who the nominees are. We're going to have early voting. That's how it works in this country. I love this. This is another one of those It's not why the Wolves lost, but if you watch the game, the officiating was awful, and he has it capitalized. Very one-sided and embarrassing to watch. Nas gets teed up for calmly arguing, and moments later, a Lakers player screams the F-bomb on a hot mic, and nothing from the ref on that. Also agree, Ant needs to grow up. I can't speak to the Nas. I don't know what happened there with the other player. The idea that everybody thinks if the officiating, if like last night, it was, there was a major difference in the foul was called and the free throws taken. There's no one that would argue that. If you look at the numbers, the Wolves committed 28 fouls according to the referees. The Lakers 19. The Lakers had 46 free throw attempts. The Wolves had 26. And of course, like you said, Tenneby, the immediate takeaway there by people is, well, you got to even them up. You know, it's too one-sided. It's like, well, no, you don't just, you can't. That's like they do the make good calls apparently in the NFL. That's what people think they do. And I don't know if they're really doing it or not, but that's just the assumption that if there's a call that's made and it's sketchy, you know, especially on ones that can't be reviewed, you know, it's one of those where it's pass interference. And then they ask, who's the guy in the booth? See how bad I am with names? Who's the one? Gene Steratore. And then who's the other guy? There's Steratore and there's another one. And they ask those guys, what did you see, Gene? And Gene goes, I didn't see pass interference on that. As I look at that, just two guys going for the ball. Then the referees catch wind of that, or they think it was a bad call because people are booing, they're getting chewed out by the referee. So the theory is that if there's a call comes a little bit later, and usually not long from the last, the controversial penalty is called shortly thereafter. Another penalty is called, but this one's on the other team, and that's because we're evening things out. If that's really happening, that's wrong as well. Even if you make a bad call, you miss something, you shouldn't be doing makeup calls. There's nothing in the rule book that says both teams must have a similar amount of penalties or a similar amount of free throws. You know, fouls called it for or against. Is it possible the Wolves, I did watch the game last night, and in the first half, I don't know if the discrepancy came in the second half or the first half. I didn't see anything that was egregious to me. And that goes back to when you watch the game from a unbiased view, when you don't have a rooting interest, you can watch it more clearly. In other words, I'd also ask this emailer, had that been reversed, would he say that the game was it was an awful officiated game? Maybe he would. Maybe he'd be honest and say, you know what? The Wolves had 46 free throw attempts. The Lakers had only 26. It was a horribly called officiated basketball game. My guess is he wouldn't. More than likely, most fans would say, yeah, all they were doing was hacking us up and down the court the whole time. The officials were calling it right, because that's what you want to believe, right? And it's human nature, I guess, right? I mean, I've told you, Tennessee, back when baby brother Peter played hoops, there were times where I just would sit by myself, because even some of our parents would sometimes get on the refs. So I don't want to. It's not the refs, man. It ain't the refs. Refs, most of the calls the refs make, I think, are accurate. And again, it's the reason why.
And if they make a mistake, it's okay. They're human beings.
And it's why of the back and forth sports, basketball and football are the two that have where penalties and fouls can have a greater influence than a lot of other games. In hockey, another back and forth sport, usually they're pretty obvious. If there's a trip, do they still have hooking?
Yeah.
They still have a spearing. Roughing. Does spearing happen very often anymore?
Spearing doesn't happen a whole lot.
Generally,
butt ending.
Yeah, but generally you see and you go, yeah, that's a penalty. And there's a couple of controversial ones, I'm sure, that aren't. But that's the problem with those sports, is because the plays are bam, bam, and you can't see it. And here's the other thing. Doncic is just really good at drawing the foul. He's just good at it. Sorry, man. And again, it's just, it's whining and crying about the officiating. And this guy did say it's not why the Wolves lost.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that the game was horribly officiated. I just don't believe it was. I just think that's breaking news. What you got? We've tagged Sam Darnold, even though we have till Tuesday to do
We got
it.
some quarterback news.
Okay.
According to Adam Schefter, LA's quarterback is back. The Rams and Matthew Stafford reached agreement today on a restructured deal that keeps him in Los Angeles and quashes any and all trade speculations per sources. He also says the first significant offseason quarterback domino has fallen. We also have Diana Rossini, if I can find the tweet. Where did it go? Oh, I lost it.
You look for, well, I tell you, apparently Brady is going to be disappointed for setting up that meeting with Stafford on the ski slopes, and it didn't come through.
Here's the Diana Rossini tweet. The New York Giants are now shifting their interest to Aaron Rodgers. They've been discussing it all week in Indy, per sources.
Yeah. And then there was something earlier. Obviously, it's settled in Los Angeles now with the Rams, but I saw a story online earlier, a couple of days ago, that suggested Rodgers would like to go to the LA Rams because it's, back, he's a West Coast guy. They're a team that most people would consider ready-made contenders, right? They were in the NFC Championship game last year and gave the Eagles everything they wanted. Now, I know Cooper Kupp is leaving, but I guess if Stafford were to leave, Rodgers was thinking this would be a great place for me to play. The only problem is Tim, what's that old cliche about it takes two to tango? Is there anybody that's interested in Aaron Rodgers? Maybe the Giants are.
An organization like the Giants where you're desperate to win now or you're going to lose your jobs.
Yeah.
Like the GM's going to be out, the head coach is going to be out if they don't start winning immediately. So they got to go, well, here's our best chance to win immediately.
But if they really believe that, I think they're going to lose their jobs. Because I don't think Rodgers gives them any kind of a chance. I think I'm going to pull a charge. Rodgers is done. I don't even think, not the best quarterback on his team, he's not even the best quarterback on his roster. That would be, who was the backup for the Jets last year?
Did they have Jacoby Brissett last year?
I would say Jacoby Brissett would be the best quarterback. I just think Rodgers is done. I think I would never hitch my wagon to Aaron Rodgers. The ayahuasca.
Oh, no, it was Tyrod Taylor was there.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor. I would rather play Tyrod Taylor than I'd rather play Aaron Rodgers. If you want to nominate me for PST, go ahead. I'm not into the ayahuasca darkness retreat guy. Doesn't do a lot for me. Guy that body language is awful, never takes the blame. I don't think he's just. It was is he a future Hall of Famer? Sure. Was he MVP 4 times in the league? Sure. I'll say it again. I've said it a number of times. If you look at his playoff performances, take away, when they went to the NFC, when they went to the big game and won it, you look at all of his other performances. You talk about your clutch gene. You want to rip Sam Darnold? There are a lot of things that Rodgers did in those games that were just awful. So but if they want to go with him, that's fine. I never understood why the Rams would not want to, unless they just didn't have the money. Why wouldn't they want to go with Stafford again? Is he as, I don't know, is he better than he was even a year ago or a couple of years ago? I don't know. All I know is he was a large reason why they got to the NFC Championship game last year. It doesn't look like he's lost too much. Now, I'm not studying the all 22 wide and watching, timing how, the velocity, or looking at the velocity of his throws and the launch angle and his ability to move out of the pocket with the micros. I'm not doing any of that, but just the eye test and the results would say, I think you want Matty Stafford coming back. Especially what would be for the Giants or the Rams, what would have been the alternatives? Aaron Rodgers? Would you rather have Stafford than Rodgers? I think everybody would have Stafford.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any other guys out there unless you have the quarterback whisperer as your coach. If you've got KOC, then I could take 2 or 3 or even 4 of these free agent guys, including the guy I brought up on a couple of occasions, the Justin Fields guy. I'd be willing to take a chance on one of those guys because I've got a coach he's like a magician. He's like Mandrake the magician. He can take a quarterback like a Sam Darnold, and a guy that was twice rejected. And then, I wouldn't call the San Francisco rejected. It's just he was the backup there, and then he left because he was never going to start. He was a backup quarterback. He takes a guy like that and puts him in the MVP conversation. Everybody claims that Cousins had one of his best seasons ever when he was under the tutelage, under the play calling, an offensive scheme of KOC. So if he's that good, then I'd go with one of those guys. But, if you don't, then I would think Stafford would. I had never understood Unless he was asking for so much money, you don't have the cap space. But I would have stuck with Stafford all the way, and it looks like that's what they've decided to do. We'll take a break. Feminine touch of the program, Lil B, she joins us next right here on The Fan.